We'll call this special meeting of the County Commissioners to order. The purpose of today's meeting is to hear a presentation from Chad Watterson representing iWorks Systems, and iWorks is the company, one of the two companies that has bid to provide services for the Area Planning Commission office to install a system that allows for electronic building permits and such, to make the office more user-friendly for people that do not want to travel to the office, as well as more convenient for everyone, we hope. So, Bill McDaniel is here. Bill, you introduce Mr. Watterson, and we'll hear his presentation.
Okay. Yeah, we're speaking with Chad Watterson of iWork, and who does permit software and associated types of software. We do permit software, take care of the inspections, and record inspections electronically, which should allow us to do a lot more things electronically. We'll also be able to set it up so that we can take electronic payment. And then of course it's set up through a third-party vendor for the collections, and then the actual any fees associated with electronic transmission, the submission of any funds. It's also going to be set up so that they're paying the actual fee and the county does not. Okay, Chad, I turn it over to you.
Okay, well thank you. I'm just going to give you a little bit of company background, and then I do on my side, I have Ty Petley along as well. He's going to be the one actually going through your demonstration with you. I'm just going to give you a little bit of company background and history and turn you over to him. So we'll get going on that. How long do you guys have set aside for us today?
However.
I guess basically as long as needed.
Okay, that's good to know.
Hopefully no longer than a half hour, because still have other things to do.
Turn the time over to Ty. So good to meet all y'all, and then just a little background. So we've been in business since 2001, and we are located about 85 miles north of Salt Lake City in a place called Logan, Utah. And then our sole market focus has primarily been based on public works and community development applications. And we were the first on the market to provide a web-based solution specifically for public works and community development departments. Now we do have 1,800 plus customers in the U.S. and Canada, and then we do have 40 plus there in Indiana alone. So here's just a list of a lot of the counties that we work with there, and if you like what you see with iWork, we're more than happy to reach out to some of these counties and get some contact information for you.
Okay. Yeah, well, and the critical one for us is your counties that, as you know from the start, is working with, have a working relationship using their WTH, that's their GIS system. So those would be the ones we're most interested in as far as the Indiana contact information.
Okay, we'll get together with you after the demonstration and we'll kind of get you some more information if needed.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, because I know you gave me a list previously, but it's, I guess when it's buried somewhere in your computer.
Yeah,
it's buried in the inbox.
Yeah. So, all right, and then just a little bit about iWorks. We do cater to all size municipalities with our pricing being based on population. And then we do have unlimited users, so there's no per seat license fees. So we understand, it takes a good group of people to keep a process going. So we don't charge any extra for any more users. So you can have 2 or 20 employees on the system all together, and it's not going to cost you any more at all.
Okay.
We do offer unlimited tech support and training, and so if you ever come across something that you can't figure it out or anything, just go ahead and give us a call. We are open from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and same as training. If you do add any extra employees down the road, go ahead and give us a call. We'll get them trained up as well. So we do have that online portal that allows for permit submissions, inspection requests, and online payments. As well as we are web-based, we can be accessed on any device from anywhere. So whether it be on your cell phone, on a tablet out in the field, if you're working from home during the pandemic, just go ahead and log on to iWork.net and you'll get into our system there. then our annual fees, they never increased in the 21 years that we've been in business. So customers that signed on with us back in 2001, they're still paying the same annual fee in 2022 as they were back in 2001. So, and we do offer free updates and enhancements as they are released. And so as we make our system better, we pass that on to our customers as well. So, and I do want to let you know, each year our prices do go up for potential customers that are thinking about signing on, but once you're signed on, that price will never go up. So, any questions with any of that I just went over?
Can't think of one right now.
All right, well, I'm just going to go ahead and turn the time over to Ty Pedley. He'll go ahead and run through the demonstration with you. If you guys feel like you've got any questions, go ahead and feel free to jump in at any time, and he'll get them answered for you. So, good meeting all of you, and I'll go ahead and share my screen with Ty.
Yeah, and like Chad said, we certainly appreciate the time that you guys have set aside for us to show you our solution, that we can provide to your county. But our demonstration with Bill, and that was just brought up this morning as you guys began this meeting, was the ability to provide a solution to all of your residents there in the county by providing an online portal where they can go and start that process of applying for a permit. Understanding that counties can typically be spread pretty wide, pretty far, it's not always easy to come into the office to submit a permit application. And so, with that being said, our solution, essentially the way that it would work, is a link on your county webpage that citizens or contractors will go to and they will click on. Instead of saying, the city of Iowa up here, this will have your county name, county logo. We can even change the colors on here just to be a little bit more uniform with the colors that are on your website. And then you'll see on here just a couple of options. I'll kind of walk through, all of them just to kind of give you a little guidance of what you're seeing on the page. And so on the top portion here, you'll see where it says find a permit. So as a citizen or as a contractor, after I've submitted my permit, if I wanted to come back and check the status of that permit, or if any additional fees were assessed to that permit and I wanted to come online and pay those fees, this is where I would come to. This is the top one, where I would come in and I would search the database by either my permit number or maybe my name or maybe the address of where the permit is located. In this case, I could just simply plug in a permit number and hit search, and it would pull up my permit number 16. On this portal, we also allow them the ability to request inspection. So rather than having to call to the office or send an email, we try to make it just a little bit easier, a little bit more efficient, not only for you guys by not having to take those calls, but for your citizens and contractors who are coming in for the weather inspection as well. Also on this portal, the ability to submit the permit application. So during the implementation, we would work with Bill and his department on different types of permits, different applications that he would want to make available online, and you would see those below here. So we just have an example of the building permit. On this portal, we can also help with providing instructions or guidelines or any additional information that you guys might want right down below here. So you'll see in our example, we just have some basic instructions on what is required when submitting a permit. And then if I wanted to submit or go to the application, I would just simply click on this little building icon, and that's going to take me right into my application that I would fill out. All of these fields that you see here, would be configured around your current application today. We can create drop-down menus or checkboxes just to make it, more concise with what your application looks like today. We can even make required fields on here. So the benefit there is making sure that, Bill and his department aren't getting incomplete applications. So if I came down and I tried to submit this, it's going to take back a notice saying, please fill out this field.
Okay, Todd?
Right.
I do have one question related to this. Now, how many of the different fields can someone type in if they're trying to submit a permit or a petition of some type? Okay, how many different fields can they put the information in, which will then pull everything else in from the from the GIS, the assessor's information, and then to populate the parts of the actual application?
Yep. So right up here is where you would see that, where that would pull in. So when we're talking about pulling in that property information or that owner information, if I started typing in my address, which starts with a 451.
Yep.
You'll see all of the addresses in the database with 451 pull in, and you'll see mine right down here, 451 Pine Avenue. So when I select that, what that's going to do is it's going to pull in your owner information. We understand that maybe sometimes the applicant may be different from the owner of the property, which is why in our demo site, we just have an example, where it's just a different applicant down here.
Yeah.
So then from that, you would go through, you submit that application. I'll show you kind of on the back end, once that does get submitted, how that would pull in, if that would be helpful for you.
Yeah, because that's comparable to the way things work with the WTH when you're starting to type in information. So someone could either start with the name, they could start with, since it's working with the WTH and the assessors. So I can type in either the name, the address. I mean, those would be the main two, because how many people know their parcel number?
Yes, you're exactly right. They can type in their name, they can type in the address. Really, any one of those that you see up here, I can type in and it would pull in that information for me. You're exactly right. Not everybody's going to know what their parcel number is. In fact, I don't even think I know what my own parcel number is.
No, I don't think anybody does.
You absolutely type in your address, or your name, it will pull in that same information. But as I go through and I fill this out, the nice thing is once this gets submitted, it would send an email to the appropriate individuals, letting them know that there's been a new permit application. And then right down here, if I have some sort of document bill that you require to be submitted, whether it's plans, or plat map, any other forms that you would need with that specific permit application, the citizen or the contractor could upload them right there.
Okay.
And then once I submit that, from there, it's going to let me know that this has been submitted successfully. And then if you require fees to be paid upon submittal, what it's actually going to do is it's going to actually pull in those fees. So if you have like a basic permit fee or application fee, anything like that, it would have a payment option right below here where it would take me into our payment provider, that gateway, and allow the citizen or contractor to pay those fees online. And just like you mentioned, Bill, at the beginning of this meeting, those fees can be passed on to the customer. So if they choose to pay their fees online, there would be a convenience fee. It's a pretty minimal amount, but that would be passed on to the citizen so that the county is getting their full amount on their permit fee.
Oh, yeah. Could you go back to one page, please? I had a question so I guess when you're talking about the hour requirements. So if we have a requirement that's, okay, we're going to need before I can issue a permit, it's out in the county, they're going to need a septic permit, they're going to need, before I can actually issue the permit, they need a septic permit, they'll need the address, they'll need a well permit, they'll need the address, they'll need the drive permit. Now, would that be the location where we then link over to the, say, or for a permit for them to either download and send to the, whether it's the health department or the highway department? Would that be the appropriate place for that?
Yeah, so with that online portal, I mean, we can provide like instructions, so the different types of permits, like you said, well permit, septic permit, we can include instructions on there on what they need to supply you, so if there's additional items on there, or we can even list, if you fall, within this area, within the county, you need a septic permit or well permit, please submit those, and then we would have just those different forms or applications on this homepage. So you would be able to see, not only a building permit, but you have like a septic permit, well permit, all of those different applications will go with that. Does that help answer that question there, Bill?
Yeah, I guess maybe one of the best ways might be then, for example, is if we do then link directly to the permits, they fill in the application, they can send it to the appropriate entity, would be the, I guess maybe something like the fillable PDF, something like that.
Yeah, and you can even assign out those permits. So what we're looking at now is the internal side. So, Bill, if somebody applied for a permit, you get an email notification letting you know that, and then in that email you have a link that you can click on that would take you right into that permit. And this top one is the one that I just submitted.
Yeah.
So if this were a septic permit and it needed to go to the health department, you could easily come in here, you can email this right over to that individual or to the department. Right down here, you could even assign it to, and then the health department, when they log in, they could have a dashboard with everything that's assigned to them that they need to review. So there's a couple of options of how we can help you communicate interdepartmental within your county.
That would be good.
Clicking on email permit, coming down here to the department, you might have, the health department that you would select, and then maybe you include a little message to go along with it, and you can email that off to that.
Yeah, because I find that would be very helpful. So if they're filling in the information for me, which I need them to have those permits or the address, that if it's something they can fill in, and then if it's, I can email it into the, whether it's the highway department, the health department, that'd be great. Fantastic. And along with some of the different city departments I work with closely.
Yeah, and where it is, unlimited users, we don't charge you per license or per user. Anybody that needed access, even the commissioners that are on this meeting today, if they wanted to have a read-only access where they could log in and search permits, anybody that's bill within your county, within your department, or even within the city, if they needed access to review certain types of permits, we could give them access, and that wouldn't cost the county any additional.
No, that would be helpful with having all the various permits as a read-only for someone right there. Because it's just like with the WGHs. Some people have read-only, some people, of course, have editor's licenses.
Yep. Yeah, and we would work with you on that. The nice thing is, as you hire new staff members, or if there's new members that come on, you could always call us, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, a year down the road, give them access, and we even provide training, because our training is always free to anybody that has access to the software. So as you bring on new members or anything like that to the software, we would train them for you as well. So what you're looking at now, this is just the permit after it's been submitted. So, Bill, if you were to pull up this permit, this is what you'd be seeing. Here's the information that I have filled out through that online portal. You can see up top, it pulled in my parcel information, where, it is kind of a parcel-based system. Everything that you, whether it be permit related or from a planning side related, you can tie that back to the parcel so you can see a full history of that property. So if we had multiple permits on this property, whether the well, the septic, the building permits, so on, you'd be able to see a full history down here. So even though we're looking at permit number 68, you have a full history of what's occurred on that property, even if it were code related, code enforcement related, right here on one screen, so that you're not having to bounce around to search for the information. So it's easy and convenient for you to see that this person has all the necessary requirements to proceed with the building permit. And then through the software, you also have the ability to actually print off a permit, or if you're issuing certificate of occupancies, those letters can all be built, so it's easy for Bill to then create them and then send them off to the owner. And that would be done just by clicking on this Add Letter button, and then selecting, if it's just a permit or a placard or even a certificate of occupancy, you can add that and print that off, or you can even email a copy out to the contractor, to the owner, so that once it gets issued, that individual can have it right away without having to drive to the office, from across the county to get that. That letter that you're sending off, you can see how it's pulled in some of the information on our permit, providing efficiencies, not having to go back and even type things in or write them up. In this, we would configure this. We would have, if you wanted a logo, or if you had a county seal or emblem, or just your county name at the top, that would all be configured around, Fayette County. Now, I know we've talked about building permits, septic and well permits, but if there were any other additional permits, such as petitions, garage, add-ons, things like that, we can have all of those different permit types located in a drop-down menu here, and then each one of those permits that you're sending off, we can create a letter or a form that would be unique and configured to that permit as well.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to mention that, even though we were just talking about just building side, any type of permit that utilize the software to help you not issue those permits. And then I do want to talk about the inspections. You know, Bill, you mentioned that right now you're kind of using a whiteboard to track those inspections. Our software can help you with scheduling those out. So within a permit, if an inspection needs to be scheduled out, all you have to do is go over to that menu on the right-hand side of that permit, come down here, about middle of the column, to add inspection. Then this would allow you to select the type of inspection that you're going to do. You can even track, you know, somebody had requested it, like the contractor or the citizen with their contact information. But it's going to allow you to set a date and time for that. So in this, I'll just come and we'll just do a footing inspection. We'll just schedule it out, let's say for Monday at 8 a.m. And then the assigned to, Bill, if you're the individual that's doing those inspections, or if you have somebody else that was involved from the health department that was doing any of the septic or well items, you could assign the inspection to a certain individual, even have a status associated with it. And then if you wanted to leave yourself a note, maybe a little description, do so right in the little description box. I'll put the contractor will be on site. And then you'll see that inspection pulled in right down here on our permit. But where you would go to access those, so when you log into the software, all you have to do is come to this inspection dashboard. And this dashboard can have a list and show you what you have coming up this week or today. We even provide a calendar that a lot of our building inspectors or building officials like to utilize because it gives them more of a visual representation of what maybe their days or weeks look like. So if they're going to be out, you know, for a few days on vacation or anything like that, they can plan accordingly. But you can see that footing inspection, that Monday at 8 a.m. is just right there on my calendar. So when you come in here, all you have to do is click on that. It's going to populate that inspection. You can even have a punch list of items. So if you know when you go out to do a footing inspection, these are the 8 or 9 items that we have to check off on. It's even going to show you where you're going. So here's our information right below here. Here's that little note that we left ourselves that the contractor will be on site for the inspection. And then once you go through your inspection, if things fail for any reason, you can click the little plus sign by that item, plug in maybe the code or why it failed or what they need to look at to correct that. And then you also have the ability to take pictures. So if an item failed and you wanted to be more transparent as to why that failed, letting the citizen or the contractor know, over on that right-hand side, you can upload a photograph of what you saw or what didn't look right while you're out there on that inspection so that they know what exactly you were looking at and what needs to be fixed. So this is just an example of a picture of an electrical outlet that I had on here. But just kind of showing you that and those pictures can be taken right on site and uploaded right into the inspection. And then last thing I'll mention on this inspection, so once it does get completed, if you want to notify the contractor, there's a couple of ways that we go about that. Just by coming up here and changing the status, that can send an email to the contractor letting them know that their status has changed on their inspection. If you wanted to email a copy of the inspection results over to the contractor, you can just come right over here to email inspection, and you could type in that contractor's email address if you knew what that was, and then even include a little subject, or the subject would pull in the permit number, and then you can include a message to go along with it, and you can email that inspection off.
Okay.
So again, rather than getting phone calls to your office bills, you can just manage that process just by changing that status, or just by clicking on that email inspection.
Okay. Could I then also, if someone is using a smartphone, would I then be able to then, say, attach it to sending them a message to the phone number? Is it also possible to attach in that manner?
So as it sits today, we don't have like the texting capability.
Okay.
If that's what you're referring to.
Yeah, yeah.
It is something we are looking at, but as it sits today, it's just an email option.
Okay. Yeah. So that would be one of those, say, you install, you develop it, boom, you give it to us then when it's done. Okay.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
we're constantly taking feedback from our customers. So a lot of the updates or enhancements that we make to the software do come from customer feedback. And then, Bill, you're exactly right. Any updates, any enhancements that we release, all of our existing customers get that at no additional cost. So once it becomes available, you would be notified and you would have access to it. Again, you would be charged for any of Last thing I kind of wanted to go over, because I do want to be respectful of everybody's time, is just the reporting side to it. So, understanding that, Bill might need to be running reports for his department. Commissioners might want to know what kind of, building activities are taking place in the county. Through this reporting tool within iWork, you don't have to have any, crystal reporting or coding knowledge to build a report. So you'll see in here, there's a number of different types of reports that we can build, and we would train you on this, and we would even build reports for you, and we can save them. I'll talk about both of those. But in this, if there's a certain report you want, all you have to do is click on build, and then from there, over on the left-hand side, you just click on the items that you want to include in your report by clicking on that green plus sign. So if I wanted to know, the permit number, the type, status, if I wanted to know maybe the description of the project and the square footage, and then I can even come down here and I can do some fee and payment information. So we'll do total fees, total payment, and outstanding balance. So you'll see how this field will in for on the right-hand side. From this, there's a couple of options at the top here before we run that report. You can save it. So if this was a report that somebody wanted or needed on a regular basis, whether it was once a month, every 2 weeks, once a quarter, whatever it may be, you can save this report and give it a name and a description. So I can call this, call it Fayette County Report. I can save that. And then if I wanted to group out this report by maybe the status of the permit or the permit type, I can do that through this little grouping option where I can come in here and I can select how I want to break those reports down. And then after I gather some of that information, once I hit run, it'll ask me for a date range where I could go back maybe the last quarter of the year, if I wanted to go back the last 2 weeks. I can plug in those date ranges, and then once I hit run, in a matter of a couple seconds, it's going to pull that report out for me. It's grouped it by the different permit types that we had over the last 3 months, and then you can see how to summarize all of those fees for us. Down here at the bottom, it's showing that we had 23 permits over the last 3 months, and then here's the fee information, including the total fees, total payments, outstanding balance. So it looks like we have about $25,000 in outstanding fees still. With any report that you build with an iWork, you can export it out. So if we wanted to put this into an Excel spreadsheet, PDF document, or even a Word document to type up a summary to go along with it, we can take the information out of the software as well. And then after a report's built, we talk about saving those reports. So Bill, we would work with you and anybody there for that matter on any reports that they needed, and then we would just include them down here under the save report section. So once I refresh my screen, you'll see that report that we built that I saved, Fayette County report, is just located right there. So anytime you need that report, all you got to do is click on run, put in your date range, click on run, and it will pull that same information we just looked at out of the software. Any questions on the reporting side?
No, it's, because I have some permits I do regularly, and so, yeah, this will make it a lot easier. Also make it easier for people to go back in and then also get the reports themselves too.
Yep. Great, and that was really everything I planned on showing you guys today. Like I said, I do want to be respectful of everybody's time. I will open it up to questions if there was any questions or anything we've gone over, or any questions or anything we haven't gone over that maybe you'd like to discuss.
I think one is okay, because right now, to get something in my line item, I have $5,000. I know that it's going to be more than that. But how is payment then worked out? It's split over time, one annual fee, could be broken up quarterly. How does that work?
Yeah. So in year one, you would pay your first year annual maintenance fee, and then there is a setup fee. Yeah. And that setup fee would be, setting up the system, pulling in your permit, training any and all of your staff members that are billed that would need access to the software. And then after that, you're just paying that annual maintenance fee. So it would just be one time a year that you would pay that. We can certainly align that with your fiscal year. And then with that annual maintenance fee, there's no hidden cost. So any training, any supports, so anytime you have questions, you can call us whether it be 6 months, 9 months, a year down the road, 3 years down the road, that support's always going to be included, just part of our business model. And then any updates, any enhancements that we release, those all get passed along to you guys as well at no additional cost. Like Chad had mentioned in that slide deck, in the 20 years that we've been in business, we have not increased our annual fee for our existing customers. So once you sign on with us, you know exactly what you're going to pay year over year because that's the annual fee that you signed on with.
Make it a lot easier to ask for it in my budget, yeah.
Sorry, what was that?
No, that'll make it a lot easier with the budget each year.
Yep, and that's what we find, right? Because rather than having to go back and ask for more money every year, you can just know that, hey, here's my line item for software. It's the exact thing it was last year. So year one, you have a little bit higher cost just because there's a setup fee to go along with it. And then, you know, every year after that, you just take the annual fee. Now, one thing I will mention, so our contracts, our terms are only 1-year agreements. If you guys are willing to commit to us, you know, for 5 years, or even 3 years for that matter, we can provide a little reduction in that first year setup fee.
I don't think,
Was there any other questions about the pricing or the software that I can answer for you?
Todd, did you say that the annual maintenance fee was cheaper on a multi-year contract?
So the first year setup fee is where you would see that reduced amount for a multi-year contract.
okay, so it does not affect the annual, but only on the setup contract.
Correct.
Okay.
Todd,
Bill?
Yes.
our county assessor is sitting in on this meeting, and I want to ask him if he has any questions.
Observation.
Jeff, do you see anything in this that would possibly aid or assist your office?
Yeah, he mentioned the fact that they do not use crystal reports. That's a good thing. So I feel like the reporting they showed, the way they could build them, I think any information that we need, we probably could build a report, export it into Excel spreadsheet. I'd have to actually see what our obligations are, you know, statutorily, what we need to collect. But I think that communication, if we had our own dashboard, we'd save Bill a lot of paperwork.
Yeah, because what I do is every month, with the monthly report, I give a monthly report on permits to the assessor's office. Now, so what I do with that is, there's a monthly report, then I print off copies of the permits I've issued. Now, what this can happen is then all the information, we can set up the report so that all the information that the assessor actually needs is in the report. And if they need to go back and look at these specific permits, they can actually do that instead of as Eric on a regular basis has to come down when something isn't clear on a permit or is he asking questions. So Eric has to come down and see me frequently also.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this way, as Eric can go online and find out everything he needs from the permit, also for him doing his job for the assessments.
So your office would benefit at least on a monthly basis.
Absolutely, and since they have, it's an online portal, Eric has a smartphone, he could easily, if he needs something in the field, he could even look it up. So that's a positive. The construction of the reporting and everything else I saw, it looked, like I said, the crystal reporting, we've dealt with crystal reports before. Those are horrible things to have in a piece of software. So they do not, and that's a good thing. So yeah.
Okay. All right. right, sorry for the interruption, Todd. You can continue now.
Oh, no problem. And certainly I appreciate the interruption because, if there's areas that we can help multiple parks, that's really where a lot of the benefit can come in play as well for your county. Because not only would you be helping Bill out, but, the assessor's office, if there's certain items in the software that can help them or make their job a little bit easier, more efficient, can definitely help there as well. We mentioned, the pricing. Bill, I was just going to say I'll get with Chad after we finish demonstration. We did just an updated quote. I think the last one we sent you was probably a couple months back.
Yeah, it's a few months ago.
And then, as far as any other questions or concerns that we can help answer, was there anything else that any members of the committee had, or Bill, was there anything else that you wanted us to go over today?
And I think you pretty much did it because the petitions would be treated in a similar manner anyway. And, I do suppose that then, because we have notification requirements, say someone is requesting a petition, so I guess we can probably set it up so then all the abutting property owners or property owners out to X distance, we can go ahead and then, boom, fill in that list also. So the list of public notification.
Yeah. As far as notifying individuals, we can help with that aspect of, sending out notices, things like that. And the one thing I'll mention, as we talk about, getting the software set up to help you multiple facets, our typical implementation time or our average implementation time is less than 60 days. That's really because of the way that the software is set up. It is kind of an out-of-the-box system, if you will, that we would then configure around the needs of the specific cities or counties that we work with. So the nice thing is once you sign on with iWork, you have really kind of an instant reward on your investment, because what takes place after you sign on with us is we would set up a kickoff call with Bill and anybody else that you would want involved, where we would introduce you and pass you over to our setup team. And then from that, they would get a list of all the users that you would want to give access to Bill, and they would set those up. Within a matter of about, I'd say, a week or less, the user would then be able to log into the software. Now, there would be, a little bit of information that we would be working with you on pulling in, such as, the partial or property information, permits in there, and lined out. But you don't have to worry about a elongated, implementation time of, 6 months or a year or sometimes even 2 years, where I've seen softwares taking, a long time to set up an incident. For you guys, it really is an instant reward on your investment. So once you, sign the contract, pay the fees, you have access to the software. So really, and that can occur within, a matter of a couple of days or a week, at most, just depending on how long it takes them to schedule that kickoff call for your staff members.
Oh, yeah. And could you explain a little bit how the interface that you guys use with the WTH works?
Sorry, with what?
WTH.
What is?
WTH is our the company that hosts the GIS.
Oh, gotcha.
That's why I asked the question about those who you have in Indiana under contract would be those who use the WTH. So those are the people I specifically want to talk to. And so.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So the way that it would work as far as interacting with GIS, there's a couple of ways. One is we would just get an updated shape file from your GIS program on a quarterly basis, or we can even do a monthly basis, depending on how frequently that is updated on your end, and how fast you're growing. Every county is a little bit different in that aspect, just depending on kind of the growth rate. But in that, you would have, and this is just an example of a customer of ours, where we would have that parcel layer, and if there was any other layers that you wanted on top of that, like the zoning, floodplain layers, those would pull in. And then this map you can interact with just like you would with a GIS program, where if you wanted to click on a certain property, you could open up that property info and see the owner of the address of that property was. If there were any permits on that, you'd be able to see those as well. They would pull them just below here, showing you the permits on that property.
Yeah, well, that would be helpful to see the permit history too. So.
Yep. Yeah, you'd also be able to see your fleet history there as well, permits. But I did want to also just kind of mention that this map can be interactive as well. So if you wanted to pull up permit by certain status, they would highlight for you across your county. So over on the right-hand side, we have kind of our little color key here, and what each color represents. You can adjust these. So if you wanted green, we're all approved, red or pending, or sale or whatever, you can do that. You can see how those highlighted to kind of check the status of where all the permits are located, or you can even break it down by permit type. So this map is meant to be used interactively, just like you would on the database side to it, or more of the internal side, if you will. And then you can even search for permits on here. So if you wanted to pull up maybe a certain address, you could search and pull it up on the map. Or if you wanted to pull up, maybe all of our, well or septic permits and see where those are located throughout the county, you can do that also. Great question. And then, yeah, Bill, you mentioned getting some references. So like Chad had mentioned at the beginning of this meeting, we'll get together and send you over not only an updated quote, but we can send you some of those references, some of those counties in Indiana that use software. Any other questions that you guys thought of or that we can help you with?
I don't have any at the moment.
You want to come up after the meeting? Bill, if you have our contact information,
Yep.
You're more than welcome to share that with anybody that would like it. We're more than happy to correspond via email or jump back on another call at any time to help answer any questions that may come up. But what Chad and I will do is we'll get you updated pricing along with those references, and then when would it be okay for us to just follow back up with you? Would you have some time early next week for a quick follow-up conversation?
Yeah, next week sometime, maybe the middle of the week.
Okay. We'll shoot you a calendar invite for maybe like Wednesday, Thursday morning, if that works for you.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do it Wednesday morning.
Sorry, what was that?
Wednesday morning, yeah, that works good.
Okay. We'll shoot you a calendar invite. If for any reason something comes up, just let us know. We can always adjust that. But we'll let you guys get going, and hopefully you have a great Friday and a great weekend. And Bill, we'll look forward to catching up with you Wednesday next week.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Todd, before you take off, I want to see if anyone else has any questions. Jeff, did you have anything else?
No, they kind of explained it well enough that I understand this interface. I think it'd be fun. Yeah.
Dale and Tracy, do you have any questions?
I just wondered, is he familiar with the other people that we're looking at, Schneider, and what the difference?
Didn't mention because
Okay.
I wasn't playing one off against the other in
Right.
any type of public setting, which is why, so I wasn't letting, didn't tell the others either who else we've contacted also.
Okay. Well, I just wondered if you knew what would set them apart from other types of businesses or software systems like this.
But unless they actually use the other vendor software and they use it to be familiar with, I don't know if they can answer that question.
Yeah, just to kind of put in, my 2 cents there, just about the question that was asked. I don't know a lot about those other companies that you're looking at. I do know what we specialize in and what we do really well. The number one aspect to that is the customer service that you're going to get with iWork, not only through our implementation, but through our support, ongoing. There's a lot of companies out there that may offer you free support for the first 6 months, and then they're going to charge you by the hour after that.
There's others where
Our business model will and always will be, that free ongoing support and training for your staff members. The annual fee is another aspect to that. There's companies out there that fee will increase, anywhere from 3 to 7% year over year. And so by the time you're 4 or 5 years into it, you're paying substantially more than what you signed on. And once you sign on with iWork, that fee is going to be what you paid for. So, like Chad had mentioned, customers that signed on with us back in 2005, 2006, they're paying the same price today that they paid back even 2005, 2006. So, when you're thinking about, some of those additional costs that you may face, just know that with iWork systems, once you sign on with us, year over year, you just be paying that annual maintenance fee.
Thank you.
Is that all you have, Tracy?
Mhm.
Dale, you got anything?
How long has the company been in business?
2001. 20 years.
2001.
Oh, I got
Okay. Well, Todd, thank you very much for this presentation. I don't know, we have some deliberation to do on this, and we're certainly going to take into consideration the wants and needs of Bill McDaniel's office in this. So we will do the best we can with the information we have and hopefully make a decision within the foreseeable future.
Okay. Perfect. Well, I certainly appreciate everybody's time and the consideration. We'd love to earn your business and keep you as a customer long term. We definitely understand that you have to make the right decision for your county moving forward. Let us know if there's anything that we can do in that process to help answer questions or concerns. But thanks, everybody. We'll let you get going and enjoy your Friday. Have a great weekend.
Okay, thank you
Okay,
very much.
thank you.
Before I forget, Franklin County, I noticed they're new to the list.
Yeah, I just saw that,
They
yeah.
have WTH.
Okay, that Franklin County does also. Well, that's good because since they just recently got it, that would be a good one to see how they feel about the process.
What their implementation was like.
Was that?
What their implementation process was like.
Yeah. That'd be a good one, yeah. But, I mean, because I know it's considerably less for the annual and then also the setup fee and then the big fee from the other. So I do feel pretty comfortable here. Now what I would like to do is, like I said before, I may feel comfortable making a decision. I still want to speak with and some of the other counties. And one thing I would also like to do is at least the one person that uses it from each company, I'd actually like to try to arrange a visit with them so I can see how it works with them sitting down in their office. I can see it from my perspective as the end user.
Well, my advice would be take your time
Yep.
and make sure you have all the information you need before you decide what you think would fit best.
Yeah, because, well, that's one of the things also at this point, is because in the meantime is, even for doing anything by hand, is I need to replace all of my permit applications to demonstrate to include all the information I'll really need to make sure it's actually the correct fee. So I just need to, I'm gonna have to ask a lot more of people to make this work better, on the actual application. So as long as there's a good set of plans, it's never a problem as is, but I kind of like to get it so that, and to be honest, this might help because I get tired because there's some people and I'm stuck holding their hand that there's no way I should be holding their hand. And then there's other people that come in the office, I really need to hold their hand, to help them get their permit. But there's others who are just lazy about it and they just, and just from in the past it was to work with people. It's like, okay, this is just going to be faster if I help you with this. And that does eat up a lot of time.
Well, I can certainly see one advantage to a system like this for sure. It would leave an electronic paper trail
Absolutely.
for every transaction in the permitting process that's made, and would certainly eliminate all the he said, she said factor in this.
Yeah, because we should also then be able to, with okay, if someone comes in the office, so they're gonna say they want to pay by cash, or they want to come in the office because they can't send anything, they don't like doing any things electronically. There's still a lot of people like that. So we can have it set up then, but if someone still comes into the office, they want to make an electronic payment, they can make an electronic payment. So either if Gail's taking the money, she sees what the fee's actually going to be, Gail can then take the data, or I can take the data and then submit the fee electronically. Because it's, yeah, because you know, do get a fair number of people that come in, and it's just like a couple of days ago, someone came in for a new electric service. Well, yeah, you have to send someone back out to bring you cash or bring you a check. And a lot of people, you know, of course, a lot of people anymore don't go around with much cash or with a checkbook in their pocket.
Right. Michael, is it I guess it's a fair assumption that if we adopt a system like this, that it could be put on the county's website, and it could be routed to it
We would
from
most
there?
likely put multiple links up. We would probably put one on the APC page, one on the surveyor's page, one on the assessor's page. Probably even one on the auditor's page, so they can get to it from multiple places. Because it's one of those things that touches multiple departments, depending upon what the source is for the start of the person's inquiry. I'm going to do a septic system. Well, I might start on the health department's page because that's where I was looking up the septic permit application, or the information for the septic permit, and that's where I started out at. So I click the link there. Well, rather than having to go find it on Bill's page, we can just put the link in multiple places, and they can get to that other page from any of those. There's no problem doing that. Just like we have WTH's map on the assessor page and the auditor page, and I think the treasurer's page, and you can get to it from multiple places. So
Okay.
there's no problem doing that.
Yeah, well, we could probably also need that link directly to the assessor's map. Probably also be a good one to add the area planning commission to that also.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just saying that we.
Yeah, I know you're just using examples. Yeah.
We can add it to whichever ones that it would be
Yeah.
tentatively connected to, so that when they go to that, they can go right to that, rather than have to find another department that it might apply to. So, and then as far as getting the information from WTH, Amy down in the surveyor's office, she's doing those splits constantly, so we could update those as often as we need to. I was exporting the stuff to Beacon, those shape files weekly.
That's the other one with Schneider yet, because the base of it, as I read more, is Beacon.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Schneider is Beacon.
Yeah. So the permit entity is not something different.
Yeah. So, but the shapefile process is the same from WTH for the Beacon equivalent, the Schneider product, or this iWork, whatever. It's the same process. Export a shapefile, then they import it, or so we'll either be uploading it to a website or putting it in a folder for them to pull up to the website, whatever, and then they pull that information in. He said once a month, once a quarter. They may have a limit or a process where they want to limit how often they do it. I don't know what their preference is. Obviously we probably prefer it to be more often because, like I said, she's making those splits and changes in the system quite often. Jeff's making changes when they make changes in the assessor's side quite often. So whenever they make a change, or the auditor makes a change, or Amy makes a change in those splits, obviously it would make Bill's job when he goes to pull up that information, or when somebody from the public goes to pull up that information on the site, it would make that much better to have that information as up to date as possible, rather than months out of date. Because inevitably what happens, Jeff's experiences it in his office, is Joe Smith has bought that property or has changed that property in some way by having a split or having sold it or whatever, or bought it. And they go on the website and it does not reflect that because the person that previously owned it is still listed, or the previous size is still listed, or whatever, because that change hasn't come into effect yet.
Yeah, because I make, yeah, something like that would be helpful also with me, because I do periodically have you get people who, okay, I've got a permit, I've got my property now, I bought the property, I've got the transfer paperwork, now I want to do something. And what I usually just have to do is that, well, just give me a copy of the recorded deed. I need something like that to show that it
So
is you, even though the old name is still there.
So what I was doing with Schneider is I was doing a manual export every Friday night, so that over the weekend it would update. So.
Okay.
Yeah, and then, of course, say Schneider mentioned, then what they have to do is then they take that, then they convert it into ARC files.
And it's probably an automated process on there.
Yeah,
Probably the same thing for them.
yeah. Yeah, so if we can actually then, so if we can then just get that to where, then with Schneider, then when they say periodically, then Schneider just needs to automatic.
And previously, when we were with Schneider for Beacon, there was an option with WTH where we could automate the process. I think it was like $800 or $1,000 to where we could do that. At the time, we opted not to pay the extra because it was a 5-minute process to click through the options of WTH and sit there 5 minutes to click through it and export it. And if I missed a week because I forgot to or was busy, it wasn't the end of the world, and we did it another day. So it wasn't really worth the $800 or $1,000. For what Bill's doing, it may be worth that extra money. So we can look at that, and that's a one-time fee if we do that. So that's something to consider and we can look at. And that would be the case with either company. That's a one-time setup to do that, set up that export. But again, that's something that we can look at as a separate thing if we decide to do that. Like I said, it's not very long to manually export it. It only took me a couple minutes.
Okay, well, you fellows take your time. Do you two feel like we've covered everything we can today? All right, well, if no one has anything else, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're all adjourned. Thank you all very much.